لقد يسرنا القرآن للذكر فهل من مدكر.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Tajweed Made Easy. This is your brother Abu Muhammad. Today's lesson we're going to look at the ahkam wal mudud. Mudud is just a pull of mad, the rules of mad. What does mad mean? The linguistic meaning of mad means to prolong or to do something extra, extend. Allah says about those who go under His punishment, وَنَمُدُّ لَهُ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ مَدًّا. And we will extend the punishment for the person extensively to make it longer. And the applied meaning, according to the scholars of the Quran, it means to prolong the sound of the letter from the letters of the mad. So to prolong the sound of the letter due to the letters of the mad. What does this mean? The three letters in the Arabic language, that's alif, waw, and ya. When these three letters, they come after any other letters, they will affect how much we stretch that letter. Depending on where these three letters are or what's after them, this stretching will start from 2 counts up to 6 counts, or 2 haraka up to 6 haraka. So it can be 2 haraka, it can be 4, it can be 5 or 6. So minimum 2, maximum 6. There's no more than 6 counts. Now, what does a count mean? How do you measure count? If we say this man is 2 counts, or this man is 4 count, or 2 haraka, 4 haraka, how do you measure? Some people, they say you measure it with seconds. So 4 counts will be the time it takes us 4 seconds to say this stretching. It is correct? This is not correct. Why? For 2 reasons. Number one, the Prophet ﷺ did not use seconds at his time. Did not use seconds to calculate things at this time. And number 2, seconds way too long. Some other people, they say the time it takes you to move your finger going this way, or coming backwards, this way. So 4 haraka mad, 4 count will be this way, like this, or going this way. This way, this method as well is not correct for 2 reasons. Why? Because this is a new method that some of the Quran teachers, they tell the students to calculate the mad, which is not correct. Why? Because this wasn't done that time by the Prophet ﷺ, and the Sahaba, they did not use this method, and at the same time, this method is not correct for 2 reasons. Number 1, the age of the person, the movement, the speed of the movement would be affected by the age of the person. If I were to move my fingers, and someone who's older than me, obviously someone who's older than me, or say 60, 70 years old, they'll move it slower. And someone else who's younger than me, they'll probably do it faster. So age would affect the speed of the movement. Not just the age, even the emotions of the person. Someone who's happy and someone who's depressed or sad or angry, their speed will be different. So how do we measure count? We measure count by the time it takes us to say a letter which has a haraka, fatha, kasr, dhamma. For example, ba. The letter ba. If I say ba or bi or bu, ba with the fatha, kasra, dhamma, the time it takes us to say ba, that's 1 count, 1 haraka. Bi, 1 haraka, bu, 1 haraka. So 1 letter here, the time it takes us to say 1 letter, that's 1 haraka. So ba is 1 haraka. If I say this mad is 2 haraka, what does it mean? It means there's 2 letters. The time it takes us to say 2 letters consecutively. So ba. So the time it takes us, so ba is 2 counts. So if I say this mad is 2 counts, it means the time it takes us to say the 2 bas at the same consecutive. So ba will be ba. If I say this mad is 4 counts, ba. The time it takes to say ba 4 times, so ba. That's 4 count. This is how we measure count. So we measure count by the time it takes us to say 1 letter which has a fatha, kasra, dhamma. So multiply that by how many, by the count. So if we say 2 counts, it times to say that letter twice, or 4 counts 4 times. Now mad is of 2 types. Number 1, mad al-asli or tabi'i, and mad al-far'i. Mad al-asli just means the natural mad which have 2 counts. Okay, number 1, this is a type of mad itself. Mad al-tabi'i is a type of itself, but underneath it, there's 3 other mads which have 2 counts. Number 1, Al-Badl, mad al-badl. Number 2, Al-Iwad. Number 2, mad al-silatu al-sughra. Inshallah, we'll find out all of these in more detail, inshallah. But these 3 mads, with mad tabi'i itself, this is a type of mad itself. These 3 mads plus mad tabi'i, there will be 2 counts. Now, mad al-far'i just means the secondary mad. The secondary mad is divided into 2 categories. So after the letters of mad, if there's a hamza, then there will be 3 types of mad. This mad al-far'i, just more than 2 counts. Mad tabi'i, only 2 counts. Mad al-far'i, more than 2 counts. So it can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6. So here, yes, so mad al-tabi'i is broken into 2 categories. Number 1, after the huruf al-mad, after the letters of mad, there's a hamza. So if there's a hamza after the huruf al-mad, then there will be 3 categories of mad, which is mad al-muttasil, mad al-munfasil, and mad al-silatul kubra. And then the second category is mad due to sukoon. Okay, so after these 3 letters, there will be a letter that has a sukoon. If that's the case, there's 3 categories of mad, which will be prolonged more than 2 counts. Number 1, that's mad al-lazim, then mad arid sukoon, and mad al-lin. So 3 categories. So altogether, there's 9 types of mad, 9 different types of mad. Are there any more? No, there's no more. From the beginning of the Quran until the end, these are the only 3 types of mad. So meaning extending 3 letters, alif wa ya, and the unit on how to measure is actually the time it takes us to say a letter once. So if I say two counts, that letter consecutively twice, and so on. So 2 types of the 2 categories, asli, just 2 counts, and far'i, more than 2 counts. Now today, inshallah, we're going to look at 2 types of mad. Mad al-tabi'i, the origin mad, and mad al-badl. So I have here in the board, mad al-tabi'i, mad al-badl, the first 2 mads. From the 9 mads, the first one is al-tabi'i, mad al-tabi'i, and second is mad al-badl. So mad al-tabi'i, mad al-badl. Mad al-tabi'i, the first one, both of them are 2 counts. So we're going to stretch them 2 counts. But what's the difference between the 2? The first one, whenever there's huruf of mad, any of the 3 letters of mad, alif with the sukoon. Obviously, we're not going to find the sukoon sign being written. And before it, if there's a letter before the alif, a letter that has a fatha. Or ya, sukoon. Before it, there's a letter that has a kasra. Or waw, sukoon. Before it, there's a letter that has a dhamma. If this happens inside the word, and we're not stopping with that word, then we're going to stretch the count to 2 counts. For example here, alif with the sukoon preceded by letter there's a fatha here. Sirata. There's the alif sukoon. We're not going to find the sukoon sign. And before it, there's a ra with a fatha. So we're going to stretch the ra to 2 counts. So ra, 1 count will be ra. 2 counts, ra, ra. So the time it takes us to say ra, 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 that's 2 counts. So sirata, sirata, sirata. Next one, al-alamin, 2 counts. With one count will be alamin. We don't want 1 count, 2 counts. So ayn with ayn will be a rabbil alamin, sirata al-alamin. 2 things you have to make sure that with mad al-tabi'i, when it has a fatha, we should open our mouth going this way. So sirata, sirata al-alamin, or else it might not sound like it's 2 counts. If I said sirata, sirata al-alamin, it might sound like 1.5 counts, so it should be 2 counts. So sirata al-ladhina rabbil alamin. Can we do more than 2 counts? Can we say sirata al-ladhina an'amta? Or rabbil alamin, rabbil alamin. Can we do that? No, we cannot do that. You will not find any chains of narration to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that he did more than 2 counts. Okay, it should only be 2 counts. Even if there are famous reciters, famous people recite the Quran, or your local imam, whoever does more than 2, this is not. You cannot find one sheikh, one scholar of the Quran. You cannot trace that recitation to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as in more than 2 counts. It should only be 2 counts. You cannot do 1 count, no can go more than 2 counts. Ya, sukoon, before there's a letter that has a kasra. So alladhina, or the word mizan. Alladhina, dhal with 1 count will be the. So the time takes to say 2 dhal, the, alladhina, or mizan, mizan. Waw with the sukoon, preceded by letter the dhamma, like qalu here, qalu, 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 qaf with the dhamma, qu. So we put our lips forward, qu, 2 counts, qu. Now, this is mad al-tabi, so 2 counts. Whenever we find these one of the 3 letters of mad, if it's alif preceded by letter that fatha, ya preceded by letter that ya sukun preceded by letter that's a kasra, wa sukun preceded by letter dhamma, and we're not stopping that word, we're continuing that word, then it's 2 counts. Mad al-badl just means to change, replace. This is it's the same thing, but instead of, so before alif there's a letter that's a fatha. So this letter in mad al-tabi'i can be any of the letters, but in mad al-badl, the letter before the alif with the fatha has to be 1 letter, 1 specific letter, which is hamza. The letter before ya sakina is hamza with a kasra. The letter before waw sakina is hamza with a dhamma. So this one, So the previous letter has to be a specific letter with the hamza, but this one can be any of the letters. This is called mad al-badl, swapping, switching. So from any other letters to a specific letter hamza, same thing, 2 counts. For example, alif, when it has a sukoon preceded by a letter that's preceded by a hamza that's a fatha, the word adama. Adama, 2 counts. Adama. 1 count will be adama, adama. So 2 will be adama. Or, yeah, so adama or amana, amana. Originally in the Arabic language, it was hamza with a fatha, and the following is a hamza with a sukoon, alif with a sukoon. So it used to be a'mana, a'mana. But because this was heavy upon the Arabs, they say amana, amana. Next one, we have kasras with the sukoon preceded by letter preceded by hamza as a kasra. For example, al-iman, al-iman, al-iman. So 2 counts. Originally it would be al-i'man, i'man. So it became iman. So al-iman, or here we have Israel. Israel, 2 counts. Israel. And then waw, with the sukoon preceded by hamza that has a dhamma, the word utu. We have utu or waja'u. So utu, waja'u. That's it. So mad al-tabi'i, mad al-badal. So today's lesson, we covered 2 of the first 9 mads. We also learned the linguistic and applied meaning of the word mad. Found out how to measure mad and the different groups and the different types of mad, and we went through the 9 different types of mads. Inshallah, from the next lesson we're going to do the next 3, which is mad al-iwad, mad silatul sughra, and mad silatul kubra. Until then, jazakumullah khairan, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.